So I made a game for my high school's horror fest called Abra the 8-Year-Old Witch, and it went very well. It got in the newspaper, which I wish I had on me, but I don't anymore. But it was really good. I posted it on Game Jolt, and it got good reviews, and I was eager to make a sequel. I was absolutely pumped. The sequel was going to be even bigger and betterer than the first one. I was going to call it Abra the Last Witch, and the plot was always about Abra waking up 10 years after an apocalypse and her having to defeat another bigger, badder demon queen than the first one. Originally, it was going to be like a dungeon crawler with like different like Zelda dungeons back to back, but then I decided to just shift into an action RPG, kind of like a 2D Kingdom Hearts in a way. But it was during that time where I also had to do another school festival. It was for my DigArts Expo. Basically, we had to make booths based off our conservatories, in my case, game design. However, since I was a senior at this time, I also got to do my own booth. And let me tell you, it was it was sick, okay? Like, I basically had, like, a cave, like an underwater cave, because underwater was the theme at the time. Like, the theme of the expo was underwater. So I had, like, this cool, like, underwater cave where there was, like, water at the bottom. There was, like, this, like, glow-up wire that was, like, an electric eel. And inside there, in the middle, there was, like, a chest, like a treasure chest and inside was, computer that was playing a demo reel of some of the projects I made while in high school. And it was really cool. But by the time I was almost putting the finishing touches on it and everyone else was still working, I realized something. You know, this sequel of mine is going to be my senior project. And the senior projects would be shown off at the next event, which would be the final event, would be called the extravaganza. And that's where I had to show off the finished product of my senior project. And then I realized something. I only had 4 months to finish it. And I haven't even finished one level. And I was busy with other stuff in my senior year. So, I made an award-winning game in high school in 4 months. Here is how I did it. So before we get into like how I actually got to do this, I need to really I need to explain my school schedule, because my schedule during the senior year of high school was very strange. So basically, like, it would be 6 classes throughout a day, but on Tuesdays and Wednesdays we would split the classes up. On Tuesdays we would only do half of the classes, and on Wednesdays we would only do the other half of the classes. However, to compensate, they would be a lot longer. Yeah, it was not fun. So basically, I had 3 opportunities, 3 time periods where I could work on this game. I could work on it during my game design class, during lunch, or during after school hours. The way my after school hours worked is that on Mondays and Wednesdays I would have a multimedia class that was basically for my for not for my conservatory, but rather just a general multimedia class that would go on until 4:30. So any other day that I didn't have that, I would still have to wait behind because my sister was doing musical theater and my mom couldn't pick us up individually. She had to pick us up at the same time. So basically, that left me with a shit ton of time after school to do stuff. What did I choose to do with that? Well, on Fridays I had like a Super Smash Bros. Club where we just go into the science lab and play Smash 4 at the time. But since I made a wise decision of not playing Smash that year, so because I wanted to get this game to be as polished as it could be. So I basically just quit my Smash Club, and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday, I would basically stay behind school for 2.5 hours just working on this game. There were also times where I couldn't even work on it during my lunch break, because for some reason during I believe Mondays and Wednesdays, I believe the teachers just shut down the classrooms because for lunch and told us to go outside because they didn't want us watching silly little YouTube videos or playing games indoors when we could be eating lunch outdoors. Not realizing that I wasn't on there to watch YouTube videos. I was in there to fucking work. So basically, I was working on this game for every single day in the week, and it was hell. Basically, this game was massive. It wasn't just like any other simple game that I was working on like during this or before this. This game had cutscenes. This game had levels, multiple of them. This game had like a progression system and like intense action. This game had a story. This game had music, even though it was royalty free, but whatever. Like, and this game also had voice acting. So, yeah, my work was very much cut out for me. And if you're wondering why I didn't just work on this at home, at the time I had a really shitty laptop and it could barely even run the Unity engine with this game. And so, if I want to work on this in a semi efficient manner, I had to basically work on the school computers. And every time I would also, since I didn't have a scanner at the time, I would also, after drawing the cutscenes on paper, I would have to ask my teacher, my game design teacher, to help me scan them in so I could put it onto the school computer so I can then color in the cutscenes and like edit them in Photoshop and then edit them in iMovie so then I can just put them into the game. It was an ordeal. It was absolutely an ordeal. So, yeah. And let me tell you, like, I worked. So basically, my school schedule is this: do my usual school activities, then go to game design class, then go to either go to lunch and then work on the game during my lunch period while everyone was relaxing and having a break from their schoolwork. I was spending lunchtime doing more work. Then during game design class, I would work on the game even more while also maybe doing my other assignments if I could get away with it, because I procrastinated on my other game design assignments because I just wanted to work on this game. And then other days after school, I would still just work on this game. And it also got very, very lonely because during the after school hours, the classroom was open for anyone who wanted to do lab hours to work on anything else they had going on. I was usually the only person there, though. It was very lonely. Like, for a little while, the teacher would be there, but then she had to leave, and for some reason, I was like having to be in charge of the classroom alongside the other teacher in the next room. So it got very lonely. This was also during a really stressful time in my high school, like in my time in high school. I had I was basically having to do catch up work because I failed freshman English and I had to do catch up work for that. And I was many times didn't think I was able to do that. I was failing my chemistry class because the whole classroom was just like had the etiquette of a gym class. It was basically a boys' locker room, even though it was supposed to be a chemistry class. And the teacher and I just couldn't stand any of the students in there. And even then, science was always my weakest subject. So I was also in a time where was like, not only was I working on this game, but I was also trying to do well in school with all these assignments I had in school. And also trying to find a good college for me and trying to figure out where my career was going. And and there was a good chance I wasn't even going to graduate high school at all. And I was already anticipating having to take another year of high school, and that was super embarrassing, and it definitely caused some low self-esteem, which definitely rubbed off on this game because of the fact that this story is about a witch who has very low self-esteem, trying to find this self-love within herself to get over her biggest obstacle yet. So yeah, I subconsciously made the story about what I was going through at this time. And it resulted in every single day coming home just utterly stressed out, just completely tired, and the fact that I didn't really do anything to help me relax afterwards, and I had no coping mechanisms at all at the time because I didn't even know what the term coping mechanism even meant. Like, was not fun. I don't recommend. Here's my PSA. I do not recommend anyone do what I did here. Please love yourself. Treat yourself. Don't harm yourself like this. This is genuinely really harmful. Like, we dunk on companies crunching their employees for a reason. This is a terrible, terrible work ethic. Please put your health and happiness first above anything else. Don't try to like crunch yourself to meet some deadline if it's just a personal project. Try to space yourself out. This is one of the reasons why I never gave myself a deadline on personal projects ever again. Also, did you guys know that foreshadowing is a really cool narrative device? But hey, I don't want this to just be about like how stressful it was, or just like how like harrowing it was, and how this only just added even more stress on an already stressful year of my life. So life, while also having to basically struggle with the impending force that is adulthood. So here are actually a few happy highlights of it, as well as how it all ends. So one of the interesting things that happened while working on the game is that I was just crunching so hard about this, and I was so obsessed with trying to get this game as good and polished as it could be, that I basically like lost sleep just thinking about things I could be doing while working, how I could be working instead of sleeping. It resulted in one point where I had so little sleep that I felt so sleep deprived. And sometimes when I'm like really, really low on sleep, I for some reason just start like wanting to create really scary looking things. So one of my favorite bosses in the entire game is the Deathless. It's like this big like demon snake with like hollow eye socket with like venom spewing out, and like it carries his eyeball on his tongue, and he like shoots venom from his eye socket, and it petrifies it petrifies with his eye, and you gotta like you shoot feathers to destroy his eye before so you can use magic to kill him. It's one of my favorite bosses in the entire game, and yeah, I just was so sleep deprived, and it was such a gloomy day that I was just in this mood to create this really, really scary monster. And I remember showing it to all of my classmates and all my teachers, and they all said, "What the fuck is this thing?" And I was like, I gotta put this in the game. I wasn't alone when making this game either. I had many playtesters testing this game, and like their feedback and them discovering things I didn't know about the game were so important to making the game as polished as it ended up being. So I basically, if you're in the credits of the game, you know who you are, but like I couldn't have done it without those playtesters. Another highlight was that this is the only time in any of my games I actually had voice actors involved, specifically one of them. So I had a friend named Sai, and for full disclosure, this was before he transitioned. But I'm still using he/him pronouns for him anyway, and I'm not going to be dead naming him like I accidentally did in the bad ending of the game. I'm sorry, Sai. Anyway, the Sai basically was a very good friend of mine. I was really excited for his Shark Hands trilogy. It's really good. You should check it out. It's on YouTube. And I decided, you know what? They are also a big like theater person. I want to ask him if he could voice act for me. And I asked him just one day out of the blue, and he was like, "Yeah, sure, I love to." So the thing is that in the room next to the game design class, there was like a film class, and they had like a actual like recording booth with like professional equipment that they use for like announcement videos and stuff like that, or voice acting when like film students need it. So I decided to use that as my disposal, because I was like, hey, if I have that available, I might as well just use it. Okay, so I will say I was still very nervous because I never directed voice actors before, and since I'm autistic and don't have that great social skills, I didn't know how I would do it. But thankfully, Sai, he did a fantastic job during that sequence. I had him. It was during this time where I was like watching a bunch of Kingdom Hearts Let's Plays because I was really excited for Kingdom Hearts 3, and if you can't tell, Kingdom Hearts was kind of a big inspiration for Abra the Last Witch's gameplay. So I was watching people play 0 0.2 Birth by Sleep, a fragmentary passage. God damn, my mouth hurts. And I remember like people getting to the part where Aqua was in the mirror world, like the fragmented Snow White mines, and like there was like the magic mirrors, and like Auntie Aqua just taunting her the whole time, and then you had to fight her. And I was like, I want to kind of do something like that. So I had this sequence where like these mirrors would create these like burning like these burning figments of like the self-doubt and the self-hatred of Abra's psyche. And I want to have the voices of her psyche basically like I wanted to have her psyche like just taunt her the whole way through, and then have it be a boss fight. So I thought, I feel like that's where I would put the voice acting. So I asked Sai to do it, and Sai did a fantastic job making Abra's inner voice sound so chilling and so cold and it really added a lot to the scene. So thanks, Sai. Go subscribe to him on Twitch.
You failed all of them. Can't you see they've moved on? You can't save anyone. The world is better off without you.
So what were the results of this? Reminder, please do not work on anything the way I did here. Please don't. But what happened was that I presented a slightly unfinished version, close to finished, but slightly unfinished version of the game I presented an unfinished demo of the game at the extravaganza I was at, where people could vote for an award. It was like the Oscars, it was like the Game Awards. And honestly, every time I presented a game there, it always felt like Diet E3, okay? It was my version of E3, all right? It was cool. I was even the only game in the conservatory to actually have it be playable with an Xbox controller. Everyone else had the mouse and keyboard. I had mouse and keyboard at the back, but I plugged in my Xbox controller for people to play. And yeah, I wasn't as germophobic then as I am now. But yeah, and I learned a lot. And the big thing I learned is maybe if you want to present a fun game for people at an event, maybe let them skip cutscenes, especially long cutscenes, because I've seen a lot of people just kind of dip out early because they just couldn't skip the cutscenes and they just wanted to play the game. They didn't want to read, goddammit. It's because I was really proud of the story and I didn't want people to skip it. And then after the expo, I was like, you know what, I want people to enjoy this game, I might as well just let them skip the cutscenes. So, like, basically, but other than that, it went really, really well. And what happened is that I did not win the Viewer's Choice Awards. I think it's because of the whole cutscene things. But I did win the Judge's Choice Awards, where the teachers and the faculty of this conservatory would actually like vote on another winner, and I won the Judge's Choice Awards. So yeah, when I say award-winning game, I'm not kidding. Abra the Last Witch won the Judge's Choice Award at the Costa Digiarts Extravaganza 2018, and I was so happy that night. And like that was like the one time I felt like, man, is this what being an Academy winner feels like? So yeah, and thankfully the rest went well. Like, I remember, like, I went to the graduation and decorated my graduation cap with the insignia for the game, the game's application icon. and I put it out on. I finished up the game and put it out online. It didn't get very many downloads. Still doesn't have very many downloads, but I actually ended up getting $1 of a donation. Someone actually donated $1 to the game. It's a free game, but there is a pay with. There's like some donations incentives in there, and someone actually paid $1. Unfortunately, that one person couldn't play the game because the Windows version lacked a file that the application needed to run with. So I had to basically spend a day like trying to fix the Windows version, and I had a meltdown on Twitter. So that was embarrassing, but like thankfully I was able to get that working. And I don't know if the guy still ended up playing the game or not, but thank you for the $1, dude. It made my day. And like one thing that touched me the most is that it was on the last day of my game design class, and our teacher gave us some flowers, and the flowers had a bit of a theme based off our personalities and stuff. And she gave me I wish I still had this flower. It's gone now, but she gave me a potted plants that she said looked a lot like Abra, and I just think that's wonderful. So, yeah, that was the story of how I stressed myself out making an award winning game during high school in 4 months. If you want to play this game, actually, a year later, I made a completely overhauled version of the game called Abra the Last Witch Rebirth. It adds a bunch of quality of life features, a rewritten story with new characters and new levels and new bosses. I added brand new mechanics. I added a brand new. I redesigned the entire progression system. And it has its own original soundtrack done by my good friend at Pen Camera Mouse Productions. And let me just say, the boss fight theme is a fucking banger. It's so, oh my god, it's such a. I remember he sent me the file for that song. I was like, yo, this is sick. This goes hard. And it also adds a pause button. Yeah, the original didn't have a pause button, but I added it. You're welcome. If you want to play this game, actually, the Rebirth version is easily like an absolutely improved version of the game, and you can play it in the description, and it's totally free. But if you donate $1 or more, you get a folder of extra goodies, including like special artwork and developer's commentary that I don't recommend watching because it's very old and my voice was very cringe in that. But yeah, you can go ahead and play it in the description.